Hello, welcome to another episode of my Minecraft beta series. I'm going to bring Buster with me today. I got him with Edith, not the last episode, but the one before that. But today, we are going to be building a lumberyard. But before we do that, I'm going to go over to the area which we worked on last episode, over to the graveyard, because when I built it, I saw there was a bunch of signs all over the place for the graves, so I thought it would be a good idea to add people to it. And as you can see, I got a lot of comments wanting to be added, so I'm going to go through them now. First, we got Noodle, Sazzo, Pickle P, Towelman, Mr. Edamine, Mame, Uthadul, Robert Walker, Halo Isla, Sky the Chisbaki, Raracade, Alisax, Glitter, Weaponized Knight, Siege, and Abstract. I did that awfully, but okay, there we go. And there's still a bunch of spaces for other people, so I'll ask again, if you do want to be added, let me know in the comments. Okay, so like I said previously, we're going to be heading over there to build it. It is pretty far away from everything else, but I thought if you're standing over there, it is a pretty nice view, so I thought it would fit in pretty well. But the issue is there are a bunch of trees already here. So first things first is we're going to have to get rid of all of them. Give us a nice big area to work with. Oh, and first of all, great view of the city, or kingdom, whatever I'm calling it. There are stairs in the sky. Those are meant to be a flock of birds. Same problem as the water tower. I think maybe we just need a couple more, and then it will look a bit better. But I might remove it, I don't know. Anyway, the easiest way to do this would be to just burn it all away, but I will be needing all of the wood. So first thing I'm gonna have to do is mine away each and every one of these trees. Alright, so I think that is going to do for now, at least so we can get the actual mill down with like the water wheel and whatever. But for that, I think I'm going to need some more wood from somewhere else. So yeah, I think I'm just going to do a bit more farming over there, then I'll just bring it all back, put it in this chest. Alright, here we are. Hopefully that's going to be enough. Now the terrain is a bit off, so I'm going to do some work down here before we actually move on to the building. And so I got started with that, just bringing up the ground from the shoreline and then flattening it out at the top. Although I did get a bit carried away when I was doing this. And then this hill that was here, just excavating the entire thing, which will give us a lot of room later on for a tree farm, which I will still have to do a bit more terrain editing, but until then, what I had was a good enough area to get started with building the mill. So to begin, I laid out this cobblestone platform jutting out into the water, which later on is going to house the water wheel, which is what keeps the mill functioning. But after that was done, I moved on to the main portion of the building, and doing something different from what I usually do. I didn't have a stone platform for this. I was actually going to use wooden struts to keep the building up so that the entire bottom half would be completely open. And once I had lined that out, I added some detailing with some fences, and then went around the top, properly connecting all the poles together, and then starting the proper structure for the lumber mill. Now for this, it is pretty much the same as what I have in the rest of Spawnterbury, but I did want to try some new things. So first of all, the bottom of it is a little different. I added like another ridge around the whole thing, so it wouldn't be so flat. And then moving on to the actual walls of the place, instead of just using white wool, as I did on all my other buildings, I mixed in some snow blocks to add a bit of texture, which I do think is an improvement. It makes it seem less pristine, a little more messy, and I think that works well for the medieval theme. Now before moving on to the main roof, of the building. I went down to the foundation I built earlier and then started work on the canopy for that. Now, starting out, this was just a standard slanted roof, but like with the walls, I didn't want it to be so clean. So after it was all down, I went through and added in some bumps, just making it all very uneven. So once again, giving it a messy feel. So right after that, I did the same thing with the main roof, though this time it had a cobblestone trim around it and being more triangle shaped, finishing up the main structure. So now that was done, I needed a way to get into the actual building. So I went around the side, bringing out a platform, and then just making a staircase from the top to the bottom, lining all of it out with some fences, and then adding some scaffolding underneath it, so it doesn't all fall down. After this, I wanted to connect it up to the rest of Spawnterbury, so I dug out a road reaching from the farming district over all the way to the lumberyard, filling all of it in with some cobblestone and gravel, and then scattering some lampposts all along it, which are still torches currently. I haven't been to the nether yet, but I will, eventually. Now with that done, I moved on to the intricate parts of the lumber mill. I began with the largest part, which was the water wheel, placing down the base of where it would come out from. These rails act as like ropes that would go around, and then brought this out into the actual wheel, which I do think looked pretty cool. I based it off of the one that I already did in my OG SMP series. Just a little more primitive, not as many blocks and rotations at my disposal. But nevertheless, I do still think it looks pretty good. So moving back inside, I extended out a platform with a railway track going through the middle of it, and then in line with the wheel, I added these fence posts, which are going to act as like a saw, and then to the left of that, I mined out a little pit where I put some logs in. So basically how the system works, in my head, is you'd put a log on the rail, which would push it forward into the saw, which would cut it in half, and then end up in this pit, where you'd have to pick it up and like put it on a cart. After that, I noticed there was some spare space into the part that extends into the water. So on one side, I made this like crafting / woodworking area, which is just a bunch of tables and a couple of chairs. And then on the other side, it was going to be this storage area, which the majority of this portion was just these larger shelving units. Basically, it's just rotating between chest and slab, but still, I do like how it looks, and I might use these in the future for other builds. Okay, so I am pretty happy with that. That's the mill all finished up. Aside from the interior, I have yet to do this, and I will probably do that. I'll probably do that right at the end. But yeah, everything else, got the water wheel, got the inside all done, all the mechanisms. Yeah, I got this crafting area, storage area. I think it works pretty well. And of course the path going to the rest of Spawnterbury. So, next what I want to do is sort out this area. This is going to be like the yard of the lumber yard, where all the trees are going to be cut down. So I do want to go through with some dirt and just flatten this place out. Maybe put some bumps down, although I might maybe raise this up a little bit. I don't want it to be too flat. That'll look a bit weird. And so I got to work. First of all, lining out the shape of the area, and then going through and filling it all in with dirt. After that, I mined out another path. Again, just following what I'd done before with the cobblestone and gravel. Although looking back, this doesn't really go anywhere. I may have something later on which I could connect it to, but right now it's just a dead end. I then decorated it a bit, adding some sparse fences along the side to get the feeling they're like broken down a bit. I then started building a few carts around, some empty, others holding logs, and then finally going through with some oak leaves, scattering them around to act as bushes. Now once all the decoration was down, I moved on to something more functional, which was the actual tree farm. So first, I lined out everywhere a sapling would be placed, making sure they were 5 blocks apart from each other, so that once they were all grown, there'd be a 1 block gap between them all, giving me room to walk around. But next, I wanted to stop the tall trees from growing, so from the block I'd already placed, I went up 6 more, and then placed 1 more block on top of that, and that one at the top is going to stop any tall trees from growing, hopefully making it more efficient. And finally, replaced all of them with saplings. Now once all the trees had grown, I had another idea to add a bunch of tree stumps and fallen trees around the place, and I do think it made it feel a lot more like an actual lumberyard. But I was not done yet. There was one more thing I wanted to add before the lumberyard was complete, and that was to add one of the cranes that I have at the harbour over here. So I got to work with that. I saw that on this hill, there was a pretty open space, and it was also right next to a empty cart. So I thought what would be cool is if I had a log pile attached to the crane, dangling above that cart, hopefully to give the feel that like there's actually something happening here, and it's not just completely static, despite being completely static. Alright, here is the lumberyard, all finished up, and I am quite pleased with how this has turned out. It is functional, as you can see, so that is good. Hopefully it's efficient. I won't know until I start a new project and I have to gather more wood, but there are quite a lot of trees here, so hopefully it's going to be enough. But there are still a few things I want to do, namely over here. Now there's this big road reaching from the lumberyard over to the farming district of Spawnterbury, and around that it's just a bunch of empty space. So what I want to do with this area is just extend all of that forest all the way down. I'm going to do some terraforming as well, get this shoreline consistent with what we have over there. Right now it's just a bit flat. All the sugarcane, see over there, and I got some behind that wall as well. They're just like in sparse bunches instead of just this line. So I'll do that as well. And also maybe get some rocks in. And one more thing, these cypress trees, I don't think I like them outside of the city walls. So I won't do anything now, but I think in maybe like a copy of the world. I'll go through and get rid of them all and replace them with oaks, just to see if it looks any better. But all the ones inside, I still like those. But yeah, anyway, terraforming, and then plant a bunch of trees. And there we go. That's pretty good. Also, I have done the interior for the mill, so I'm going to go over and show you that now. Alright, so here we are. I'll do a quick run through. Yeah, just this walkway, the dining table, it's like the living area, got the bedroom back here, and all the way in the back you got the kitchen. So pretty in line with what I've been doing everywhere else. Just a residential building. All the technical stuff is at the bottom here. Also, I did, as you can see there, put some mossy cobble along the base of the mill, as well as I put a few in on those rocks. But anyway, I am pretty happy with everything I've done. Next episode, I'll just be expanding Spawnterbury once again. This time, I'll probably take a break from going this way and go that way instead. There's a spare area between my house and my first shelter in that mountain. So all the stuff in between that I got to fill up with a bunch of buildings. But yeah, until then, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.